Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Curt T-Connector trailer wiring harness here on our 2016 Land Rover Discovery Sport. So our trailer wiring harness is going to be one of the few different components that are going to be required to tow a trailer with our vehicle. So the wiring harness is going to transmit the signals from the towed vehicle to our trailer to let others out on the road know what we're doing. Most times, the trailer can actually block the vehicle's taillights. Therefore, we still need a way to let other motorists on the road know what signals we're going to be making. This particular kit here, it comes with a standard 4-way flat trailer connector. That's the most common type and what most trailers are going to use. This type of connector transmits the brake and turn signals for either side as well as the running lights. Now, some of your larger trailers may have electric brakes, and if they do, you're actually going to need what's known as a 7-way trailer connector, in which case we can still use this, but we will need an additional adapter, which we offer here at eTrailer. So here's what our trailer connector looks like installed. Really, the only thing we're going to be seeing outside of the vehicle is the actual trailer connector. For this particular application, we have it secured to the safety chain loops on the trailer hitch here, using the included dust cap. The dust cap also helps keep any moisture from getting inside the connector and causing any issues with your trailer lighting problems. So this particular harness here is a powered option, and what that means is it pulls power for the trailer lights from the vehicle's battery. We're simply receiving a signal from the vehicle's taillights. Now, the reason this is ideal and preferred is that we're not actually drawing any additional power from the vehicle's taillights, possibly overloading and damaging the circuit. That integrated powered converter is also going to help any electrical problems on the trailer from not backfeeding and affecting our vehicle. So in regards to installation, this particular harness here, it is plug and play, so we don't have to worry about doing any splicing to our vehicle. They do, however, take a little bit of time to install, but nothing is too particularly challenging. We can walk you through this entire process step by step now. So the first step of our install, we're going to come into the hatch of our vehicle here. And on the driver's side, if we look in here, you're going to see we have a knockout panel. So we're going to take a Phillips head, or a flathead screwdriver. You're going to see a little fastener there. We're simply going to turn that a quarter of a turn, and then we should be able to pry the panel out. So once we have that panel out, if we look inside here, we should see a white-headed fastener. This is what's actually holding our taillight assembly to the body of the vehicle. So we're going to take either a flathead screwdriver or a 10mm socket. We're going to remove that fastener there. It might not be a bad idea just to use your other hand to keep a hold of the taillight so it doesn't fall down. Now with our fastener removed, we can actually go ahead and remove our taillight. So we're going to be pulling straight out to make sure that we don't damage any of the alignment tabs. You may need to maneuver it a little bit. Sometimes they do fight you. So once we have it removed, there's going to be a clip on the back side holding the wiring harness on. So you're going to depress that clip, and then we should be able to pull it straight down and out. So now that we have our connector free, we're going to take our wiring harness that comes in our kit here. So there's going to be 2 ends with plugs that match up with this one here. So for the starters, on the driver's side, we're going to be taking the plug with the yellow wire in it. And now we'll simply just mate our connectors together. We should hear it click when it's locked into place. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the white wire, which is going to be coming off the harness here that goes to that connector, and then we're going to take one of the self-tapping screws that comes in our kit, and now we're going to find a flat surface in this taillight pocket area here that we can secure the ground screw. So I'm just going to come over here. There's a nice little flat portion of metal there inside the pocket. Secure the ground just like so. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to be reaching back down behind the bumper here. So about in this area here, we're going to find a foam piece. So we actually need to pull that foam piece out and sort of maneuver it to the side, pin it up against inside the little pocket here, because we need to create some sort of access hole so we can route our wires down and underneath the vehicle. So it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I'm just going to reach in there now and move the foam out of the way. So here you can see part of that foam. We're just simply going to tuck it to the side here to give us room to work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our black power wire here. I'm going to crimp on one of the yellow butt connectors in our kit. And the other end, I'm going to attach the primary wire that comes in our kit, this black power wire. Once we get that crimp on there, what we're going to do is we're going to take the other end of the black wire and we're going to be shoving that back down below the bumper here. Try to fish it out somewhere underneath. So in order to get our black power wire down behind the bumper here and down below, what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of Airline tubing like it's what we have here. So we've already headed to use that to sneak that down through this little pocket here. There's going to be a couple access holes down there. We're going to be using the one closest to this side. And then once we start pushing our pull line through there, we should start to see it come out underneath just like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some electrical tape and we're going to tape our power wire to this end of the Airline tubing. Push it in there and then I'm going to wrap it with some electrical tape. And then I'm going to grab the other end down below. I'm going to use this to pull our wire through. So now that we have our power wire ran down below, we're actually going to repeat the same process of using our Airline tubing to pull our wires down beneath with the green wire with our 2 connectors as well as the bonded 4-pull with our 4-way trailer connector. So we've got our 3 sets of wires fished down underneath the bumper here. One thing I do want to note that while I was doing this, it was a pretty tight fit back there. I was able to sneak the trailer connector between the bumper and the vehicle there, but these 2 larger connectors for the taillights, I was not able to do that. So what I went ahead and did is I just cut this green wire about 5 or 6 inches back from the connectors, and that easily allowed me to fish it down from underneath. In order to do this, you'll just need an extra butt connector because we do have to eventually reconnect this once we go over to the passenger side. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the double-sided tape that comes in our kit here, and I'm going to apply this to the back of the converter box. We're going to make sure that's on there nice and tight, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this other side off and I'm going to be sticking it to the inside of the bumper right around here where there's a nice flat surface. So now that we have the converter box mounted, we're going to take one of our connectors here and we're going to re-secure our taillight. You want to make sure that you press up on this red locking tab. Now with our connections made, we can re-secure our taillight. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be removing the passenger side taillight. So in order to do that, it's a little bit different over here. So if we look up in this area, you're going to get this little vent plate here. So this is pretty easy to get out. We just simply pry it out. There's going to be some tabs on the outside. I just used a long flat bladed screwdriver to pry that out. But once we get that out, we're going to have that same fastener that's holding the taillight to the vehicle as that we had on the other side. So now once we have the taillight out of there, we're again going to reach down in there and we're going to maneuver that foam out of the way. Then we're going to take our piece of Airline tubing and we're going to fish it down behind the bumper just like we did on the other side. And then we're going to route our green wire over here to this area and then we can pull it up. So we've got our wire harness over here to the passenger side behind the taillight housing. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to make our connections and then we'll simply re-secure the factory taillight. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bonded 4-pull Now, depending on where your airline tubing came out earlier, you may need to route it over and fish it out of this opening here. But what we're going to do is we're simply going to tie up some of the excess to the hitch receiver cross tube, and then we're going to secure the trailer connector to the safety chain loops using the included dust cap. Now, once we have that secure, all that's left to do is to route our black power wire up to the front of the vehicle where our battery is. We're going to go ahead and do that now, and then we'll show you the route we took. So ours actually came out in this area here. So we just simply came over and behind this little plastic panel. And then at this point here, we're going to be going up and over this subframe here, making sure we avoid any of the moving suspension components. And then here's where we came down at. There's going to be a little pocket here. And from here on forward, we pretty much just zip tied it to some existing lines and wires. You can see it comes across over here like so. And then we have it routed up above this panel here. And then coming all the way forward, you can see our wire here. We have it zip tied to the brake lines here on the vehicle. So we have a couple zip ties, and then here's where our wire comes down. So now we're going to go up top, and we're going to feed an airline tubing down underneath the vehicle here, so we can tie our wire to it and then pull it up into the engine bay. So the next thing we're going to do is, once we get our power wire up into the engine bay here, so there's going to be a cover covering the battery along with these fasteners here. So you're just pretty much going to spin these counterclockwise, and you can pull them straight out. Go ahead and show you that now. Just simply spin them, pull them out. We have 4 along each edge, and then we can remove this panel. And then what I did next is, so our power wire is going to come up around here. There's actually a grommet that sort of goes into this battery box area. So I actually just sprayed some silicone sealant down there, and I was actually able to fit our wire into that existing grommet without cutting it. And here you can see we have it routed up into the engine bay here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to trim our excess wire. We are going to take our fuse holder that comes in your kit here. You're going to crimp on a butt connector to one side and a ring terminal to the other side. We're going to be crimping this onto our power wire. Now what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this nut here with a 13mm socket. And then we're going to attach the ring terminal coming from our fuse holder to that stud, and then re-secure our nut. Now all that's left to do is to insert our fuse, reinstall our cover, and then we can test all of our lights. So now we're ready to test everything out. If you have your trailer, you can use that as well. Just keep in mind, if there are any issues with the trailer, it can complicate your testing. We're just going to be using a simple plug-in 4-pole tester, which we do offer here at eTrailer. So the first thing we're going to show you is the running lights, brakes, left turn, and then finally right turn. And that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Curt T-Connector trailer wiring harness here on our 2016 Land Rover Discovery Sport.